We're on to 714 now, and we're looking at decimals and fractions and division and how they're all related. So it's asking us to circle the one that isn't the same as the others. So if we look, first of all, at what there are some similarities, if we look here and here and here, all of those say the same thing because this is 75 hundredths. This is 75 hundredths. We can see it here. This is 75 hundredths. Remember, this 0, you can add as many zeros as you want. It doesn't matter. So we know that those three are the same, so that one of those can't be the one that's different. So we're going to cross those off. We know that 3/4 from a couple of units ago is the same thing as 75% or 0.75, which now we see is the same thing as those. We know that 6/8, when we put it in simplest form, is the same thing as 3/4, which is the same thing as 75%. So we know that's not one. So we're left with the last two, which are division problems. Remember, we can actually do the division problem out, and we can say 3 goes into 4 one time, 3 times 1 is 3, we subtract. Already, we know that this is going to end up as 1 point something. Whereas this division problem, and I'm going to rewrite it, 4 goes into 30 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. We add that extra 0, and we get 0.75. So this is the one that is different. I'm circling it. Oh, that's what you're supposed to do too. So you're going to circle 4.00 divided by 3 is different than the others. Number 2 asks us who's walking farther and how much farther in this scenario. Clayton walks 5/8 of a mile and Melinda walks 0.65 mile. So we need to turn this 5/8 of a mile into a decimal. So there's 2 ways I can do this. I can remember from my chart that 1/8 is the same thing as 0.125, and then I can take the 0.125 and I can multiply it by 5 because I have 5/8. And I get 0.725. So Clayton is 0.725. Melinda is 0.65. So right away I know that Clayton walks farther. Now I need to find out how much farther, so I need to do subtracting because it's asking me how much more, how much less, how much farther, how much closer, how much taller. Remember, when I'm subtracting and adding decimals, I line the decimals up, and then I subtract, and it's not very much farther, 0.075 mile. Number 2 says, in Veronica's art class, 5 out of 9 people speak Spanish. What decimal shows what part of the class speaks Spanish? If I take and I say, all right, I've got 5/9, and remember, I can take these and turn them like a doorknob. That's the second way. I can also do this up here. And I can say, okay, that's the same thing as 9 goes into 5. See how if I turn to the right like a doorknob, the 5 goes in and the 9 is out, which looks weird to us because you've always been told, oh, the smaller number goes on the outside. The smaller number is a divisor. You can do it this way. You're just going to get a decimal. So I'm going to move mine over here so I can work on it a little bit more. 9 does not go into 5. I need to add a decimal point and a 0. I'm going to bring my decimal point up. 9 goes into 50 5 times. 5 times 9 is 45. I subtract, I get 50. I get 5. I add another 0. I bring down the 0. 9 goes into 50 5 times. This is going to keep happening over and over. Because it's going to keep repeating, my answer is 0.55, and then we put that line over the top showing that it's going to repeat the 5. Number 4 says, Jake has decided to save 1/8 of the money he earns each week. After he's earned $100, how much will he have saved? So he's saving 1/8 of the total of 100. So we have the total. What he's doing is he's saying, I'm going to divide that 100 into 8 parts, and I'm going to save one of the 8 parts. So 8 goes into 10 one time, subtract, bring down my 0. 8 goes into 20 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. I need to add my decimal point, and I'm going to bring down, oh, I forgot to subtract. I'm going to bring down my 0. 8 goes into 40 5 times. So you're not going to write your answer as 12.5 because that's not telling how much he saved. You're going to add another 0, and you're going to say he saved $12.50. This is a great time to go back and say, does that answer make sense? Because if you had taken 100 and you had multiplied by 8 because you weren't sure what to do, you would have gotten 800, and that makes no sense, that he could have saved more than he made. Our process of dividing is the same until we get to a remainder. We're not getting any remainders today. It tells us in the instructions we need to add zeros if we need to. 8 doesn't go into 5, so right off the bat, I need to add a decimal point, which means I'm going to bring it straight up and add one up there, and then add a 0. Now, 8 goes into 50 6 times. 6 times 8 is 48. I subtract and I get 2. Can't have that as remainder, so I'm going to add another 0, bring the 0 down. 8 goes into 20. I'm going to extend my bridge. 2 times 8 is 16. I subtract and I get 4. Can't have a remainder, so I'm going to add another 0, bring that 0 down. 8 goes into 40. 5 times 8 is 40. And because my remainder is 0, I am done. And here's my answer. Here, 4 goes into, it doesn't go into 2, but it goes into 21 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. Subtract, bring down the 7. 4 goes into 17 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16. I subtract and I get 1. Remember, I can't have a remainder, which means I need to add in that decimal point. Don't forget to add the decimal point in. Move the decimal point up. And then add a 0. Bring down my 0. 4 goes into 10 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. Subtract and I get 2. Cannot have a remainder, so I have to add another 0. Bring my 0 down. 4 goes into 20. 5 times 4 is 20. And my remainder, now that it's 0, I know I'm done. And I can go on. So if you're still getting confused as to the order, remember our trick of dad, mom, sister, brother, rover. So my first thing I'm going to do is divide. 7 doesn't go into 3, but it goes into 36 5 times. Then I'm going to multiply. 5 times 7 is 35. Then I'm going to subtract. I get 1. I'm going to, this would be, I'm going to bring down. I have 0, and then I'm going to repeat. So I go back. I need to bring my decimal point straight up. 7 goes into 10 one time. 1 times 7, that's my multiplying, is 7. I'm going to subtract. That gets me to 3. I'm going to bring down. That's 5. I'm going to repeat. 7 goes into 35 5 times. I'm going to multiply. 5 times 7 is 35. I'm going to subtract. That gets me to 0, and I don't have anything left to bring down. These are the last 2 I'm going to do on the homework side. I'm going to let you do the last 3 on your own. Once again, I'm going in and I'm saying, okay, 9 doesn't go into 8, but it goes into 86. It goes into 86 9 times. 9 times 9 is 81. I'm going to subtract and get 5. Bring down the 5. 9 goes into 55 6 times. 6 times 9 is 54. I'm going to subtract and get 1. I'm going to bring that decimal point up so I don't forget. Bring down my 8. 9 goes into 18 2 times. 9 times 2 is 18. And that one I didn't have to do anything. I'm done. Okay, so just in case, let's go back to dad, mom, sister, brother, rover. Dad is divide, so I'm going to divide 5 into 24 is 4. I'm going to multiply. 4 times 5 is 20. I'm going to subtract and get 4. I'm going to bring down 1, and then I'm going to repeat. Divide. 5 goes into 41 8 times. 8 times 5 is 40. Oops. I'm going to subtract. I get 1. This time I have to bring down, but I'm going to have to add a decimal point and a 0. which means I need to add a decimal point up here. Now I can bring down that 0. 5 goes into 10. 2 times 5 is 10. I have a remainder of 0, so I know I'm done. My guess is that the remembering side is going to be pretty easy for you guys, but just in case, we're going to go through it. It asks about how many babies were born in April. So we have to go to April, and then I'm going to look, and April is right in between 320 and 330, which means it's about 325,000 babies. Then it says about how many more, we know we're probably going to subtract, babies were born in January than in February. Well, if I look, January is right in between 330 and 340, which means it's 335,000. And February only has in between 300,000 and 310,000. So in between 300 and 310 is 305, and then we'll add those zeros. And then if we subtract 0, 3, we have about 30,000 babies. Finally, number 3 asks, in which month were the most babies born? There's 2 parts to this, so I need to look, and this is why I think this is going to be pretty easy. We see the tallest one is obviously here. So the most were born in May, but then it asks about how many were born, so I need to go over and say it's in between 340 and 350. So that's 345, and then add my zeros, babies. And for the last part of homework, or for the remembering side, all you need to remember is in a quadrilateral, all of the angles are going to equal 360 degrees. In a triangle, they equal 180 degrees, and a 4-sided figure is just 2 triangles put together. So the total of this angle, and this angle, and this angle, and this angle, all will get to 360. So I can either subtract one by one or add them together and then subtract. I'm going to add them all together first. 210, 45, and 90. And I get 345. So I just take 345 and subtract it from 360, and I get 15 degrees. I also could have subtracted them one by one, and I would have gotten the same answer.